That just screams lack of quality in my opinion. And that this thing doesn't even close all the way. We got like an inch gap over here. It's obviously gonna let water in at some point or another. There is some tape kind of hanging out in there. It looks to be very just slapped together. Just doesn't look like something you'd want to see on a $100,000 boat. All right guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we got a little bit different video today. We are going to be doing kind of a walkthrough and a review of some of the boats you could buy on a boat dealership lot today in 2024. We're going to be looking at the prices, are they worth the money, and the pros and cons of all these boats. We're at a local dealership here that sells Blue Waters, Pioneers, Sea Pro, Sea Fox, Avenger, and Bulls Bay boats. It's going to be a completely honest, not paid review of these boats and see if they are worth the money. And the craftsmanship, overall fit and finish is a big thing for me. So we're gonna see what we can find. First boat we're gonna jump on here, Bulls Bay 255. You got twin Suzuki's on here, 150s, bit of a bay boat style V. All these boats look really good from the outside. You know, they're all nice, shiny, good looking boats. All they're gonna be looking at is the fit and finish. So let's jump on. A lot of these boats have price tags on them. This one I do not see. Jumping on, first thing I noticed, looks like the fuel tank. Obviously right here, we have a hatch to access it that is screwed down and has this black sealant around the edge. There's a spec sheet on here, so I'm not sure how many gallons. Have a acrylic dash, Clarion radio, Clarion speakers, Garmin rocker panel switches, Suzuki fly-by-wire, Suzuki start-stop, Bennett trim tabs, Edson steering wheel, or maybe not. Normally they have them labeled on here. It's kind of an off-brand Stetson. Got a little bit of corrosion already starting here. And then a nice C-deck type pad for your phone or something. Flip down footrest. Looks like you could probably fit a cooler under this leaning post, no problem. Nice upholstery, nice seats. First look at the wiring here. I will say we have some excess wiring up here, just zip tie it up. No heat shrink over these butt connectors. And the heat shrink butt connectors do not appear to be the best. Looks like some water could get in there. You can see the screws coming through on those lights up there. Not through bolted, just screwed in. Obviously the T-top through bolted up here. But not too bad. So as I was just going to close this up, we just have a simple push-in latch here. And it doesn't close very well. So that's something straight off the dealership you're gonna have an issue with right out the gate. We're gonna go into the console here, take a look at the rigging. So the rigging does look pretty clean. I am seeing these big loops here. So basically it's just disconnected. That's what it is. There's no batteries in the boat. But the wiring does look pretty clean. We got labels on it. No heat shrink over the butt connectors though. I would like to see that. And then we do have heat shrink on these butt connectors up here for the switch panels. Looks relatively clean. Like what I'm seeing here. Would like to see some heat shrink on those butt connectors up there, but everything looks clean. Looks like it'd be pretty easy to work on. So another little issue I found here with this door. This looks like a very low quality stainless. It's kind of already fading and corroded. But then this door, look at this gap down here. I mean, that's not closed. That's gonna let in a bunch of water if you get in some windy, rainy conditions. So, kind of a simple thing that I feel like could be fixed pretty easily. But the manufacturer decided just to send it out this way. People at this dealer probably wouldn't have an issue with trying to fix that for you if that was a request if you were buying this boat. But little things like that kind of drive me crazy. Like, just get the door to close smooth, you know. So as I came to the back of the boat here, I'm like, where is the bilge access? And then it appears it's behind this door. So let's see if we can figure out how to get in there. And so after about 5 minutes of trying to get into this bilge, I have not been able to figure it out. Getting the seat to slide is pretty easy, but I would guess you'd have to remove the whole seat to get into this bilge access back here, which I'm gonna say I don't think is ideal. God forbid you were taking on water for something, maybe through a live well pump fitting, a through hole fitting or whatever. You'd want to be able to get in here quick and assess that situation. Maybe if I had them come out here and show me how to do it, it's actually a lot easier than I'm making it out to be, but limited bilge access, not ideal. So this boat looks very clean. I like it. We've got storage in all three, nice anchor locker, all with drains. All the hatches open easy, everything looks good up here. So, all right, so Bulls Bay 255, pretty nice boat. I just found a couple issues with the doors that was weird, and then the bilge I didn't like at all. Next boat we're gonna jump on is this Avenger 2024 26 footer. You can see MSRP on this is 140 grand. Sale price 113, out the door 121. Optional trailer for just under $8,000. So with the sale price, you're looking at 120 grand with the trailer. So let's jump on this thing and see what 120 grand buys you for a 26-foot boat. So, good little bay boat. This thing looks like it would be super easy to fish on and walk around. I got a live well in the back there. 120 grand. Looks like it does not get you any electronics as far as a Garmin or a Simrad, you know, a depth finder, GPS. Do have a nicer JL audio sound system on this boat. You know, JL is definitely going to be nicer than your Clarion speakers, but obviously a lot more expensive. With the 120 grand price tag, we are getting away from the rocker switches, and we're going to these push button. Forget what they're called, to be honest with you. Wiring pretty clean. We do have some excess kind of looped up and zip tied, but we also have heat shrink on all of our connections up here, which is good to see. See if this door closes. Door closes without an issue. Wiring, first glance, looks clean. We got heat shrink on everything except on some of the butt connectors. They are heat shrink butt connectors though. So if that's a big deal to you or not, it's going to be personal preference. I would like to see heat shrink on every butt connector and every connection, just for that little bit extra of water protection. So we got a pump down here, already starting to get a little corrosion on it. Freshwater washdown pump. Little cut out for the hose here. That's probably not the cleanest way to do that, I would imagine. We do have some fiberglass that's kind of unfinished. Something you could cut your hand on if you were reaching up out here and didn't see it. So after taking a minute to look through this console, I'd say the pros is the wiring looks relatively clean, and you got 90% heat shrink and, you know, good heat shrink butt connectors on it. Looks like you have good drains for the cups. Downsides, that wiring right there could definitely be cleaned up. Definitely doesn't look ideal. And we have some raw fiberglass up here on the ceiling that looks unfinished and just doesn't really scream quality, in my opinion. You have a little pull string in here for pulling more wires. That's super nice. That's conveniently already set up for you to add things in the future. So I don't know, if we were to give this console, I'd say 6 or 7 out of 10. Console door shuts all the way, sealed all the way around. It's the little things, I guess. So checking out this rod storage here, looks pretty nice. You do have a drain right here, and your rods are going to go forward out there. I would say it'd be nice to have a way for water to drain back here, because this is where your reels are going to be sitting, and it looks like it collects some water back here. So we did just find this access hatch here for what is most likely for your fuel lines. Pretty common to have something like this, but the cover is not on it. Just water can get down in there. I'm sure it drains to the bilge, but that's probably on the dealership, just not putting that back on. But everything else up here looked pretty good. Anchor locker, plenty of storage, rod storage, all in gas shocks. Plenty of room for walking around and fishing up here, and a trolling motor, I'm sure, if you wanted. All right, so our first look at one of the bilges on one of these boats. I'd say it looks pretty clean. You know, the wiring's a little bit messy back up where the batteries are supposed to be, and the battery switch is tucked way up under there. You know, if you were an older person, I would imagine might be kind of difficult to reach down, get on your hands and knees and reach the battery switch. But everything in here looks pretty accessible and looks like it would be easy to change out. Not a lot of messy wiring, and the hoses seem to be routed quite clean. So I would say really only negatives on this build is battery switch location and a little bit messy wiring around the batteries. Other than that, pretty nice boat. Listen to the speaker up here. It's kind of good to see inside. Looks like a two-piece hardtop. You can see where the putty bonded the two pieces together. So 26-foot Avenger, pretty nice boat. Didn't find anything sticking out major. Do I think it's worth 120 grand with the trailer? I wouldn't be paying that much money for it. You know, you don't even get 120 grand. You don't even get a GPS or a depth finder, no trolling motor. It's very bare bones, but the overall quality looks pretty decent. You know, I don't know what they use for coring material on these boats or anything like that. Good looking boat. I didn't find anything major that just screams at you like lack of fit and finish. All right, third boat we're looking at, Pioneer 20-footer, Suzuki 150. Price with the sale, and if you add on a trailer, you're looking at $76,000, give or take $75,000 for a 20-foot boat with a trailer. Once again, you're not getting any electronics. You do have a lot of seating up here on the bow. It is a nice color, looks good from the outside, shiny. Let's jump on, check it out. So first thing I've noticed, yes, we have dropped down in price by about half of the Avenger 26 over there. And the first thing I noticed is, all right, so we're getting a little less expensive hatches here. So we're not getting the nice fiberglass hatches. We are going to the plastic ones. Guessing fuel tank under here. Once again, sealant sealed in with a screw cover. Only thing I will say about this is obviously this sealant is going to fail at some point in another and going to start to let water into where your fuel tank is. Nice little console. And up here it looks like the same as the other boats. Wiring pretty clean. No heat shrink on the butt connectors. The excess wiring is just wrapped up and zip tied. First look at the console, kind of the same thing we've been seeing quality wise. Heat shrink on some things, some butt connectors, no heat shrink. 70 grand on this boat does not get you the fly-by-wire controls. You're on the Binacle throttle cables. Better access for your battery switch in here. I'd rather be in the console than in the build like that Avenger we looked at. After starting to look at this, I think I'm realizing why this dealer sells these brand boats. I would imagine, I'm starting to think that these boats are all kind of made by the same person and just branded with different names. So, all right, so 20-foot Pioneer, 75 grand with the trailer. You know, you're getting a very basic boat. The interior is obviously very nice leather all the way around. Then you are just going to be with the lower price tag. One, going to be getting a smaller boat. It's only 20 foot. You're going to be getting the plastic hatches. You do have a nice storage under the bow seating up there. I would say not a fishing boat. This would be a sandbar boat at best, maybe to do some very small amount of fishing. Drop your comment below. Is this boat worth 70 grand? I don't know. The boating market's so crazy nowadays that it's hard to tell. Everything's so expensive, so you know, it just is what it is. All right, next boat we're gonna look at, Aquasport 23. We're looking at $85,000 out the door with the sale price, with the trailer $6,000 if you want it. So low 90s for the 23-foot Aquasport. MSRP on this is $118,000. So 20-footer Pioneer, $75,000. 23-foot Aquasport, $93,000. Already looking at it, in my opinion, not the best looking boat. You got this super thick cap on it, is ugly. Trailer here looks to be used. I'm sure they would get you a brand new one if you decided to buy a trailer. Looking up there, we got no electronics. We do have what appears to be fly-by-wire controls, and we got a Suzuki 300 on this one. All right, so I believe this is the only bilge access on this boat. I will finish going through it, but we have a little circular, 12-inch hatch. First thing I found when I got on here is obviously very limited access. There is some tape kind of hanging out in there. Not sure why the manufacturer would send this boat off to sell with tape hanging in there. There's pumps and stuff on this boat. That's the only access to them. That sucks. Not how a just under $100,000 boat should be built. Also, the seats back here, looks like we have some starboard sitting on top of these fold-up seats. On the side here, you got some tackle storage. Fit 2 Plano boxes. Looking at the console here, you do get a small Simrad for the just under 100 grand. Once again, fly-by-wire. We got an infinity stereo. This looks to be very low quality. Obviously, a little storage there. This boat looks like it's been sitting on the lot here for a little bit. Speakers, JBL, very low quality looking speaker. And just to reiterate, this boat is just under $100,000, right? I will say this: the fiberglass on this hatch appears to be very heavy hatch here. Look how thick this gets in the corners. The whole boat's built like that. It's going to be strong, last a long time. All right, so this is the first boat where I think the wiring has dropped below the quality of the other boats we've looked at so far. Looking at the fuse panel here, fuse panel, very unclean, no heat shrink on any of these connections, and looks to be very just slapped together. All this looks pretty messy, zip tied together, excess wiring, zip tied, baggies, unfinished fiberglass up in that corner. I would imagine they just couldn't get to it with this hatch there. Just not the quality I would want to see on a just under $100,000 boat. This insulated box up here, you can see all this exposed foam. Don't look like something you'd want to see on a $100,000 boat, just under $100,000 boat. You know, you would like that to be cleaned up, finished. So, Aquasport 23, so far, in my opinion, the lowest quality boat I've jumped on so far. For just under $100,000 with the trailer, I don't see how they justify that price tag for this boat in particular. Drop in the comments, convince me otherwise. But just the quality, the fit and finish, the speakers, everything looked old. The fiberglass did seem like it was built very solid and strong, so maybe that's where they're justifying it. They're saying it's going to last a lifetime. But initial first impressions, down. All right, so I think this would be a good boat to jump on next after the Aquasport over there is the Sea Pro 23 footer. Out the door price with the sale, $117,000. If you want to add a trailer, it's another $6,000. So, you know, we're looking in the 120s for this 23 footer, whereas the Aquasport was just under 100 for their 23 footer. So we'll see what the extra, 30 grand or so gets you. Suzuki 300, same as the Aquasport. Right out the gate, in my opinion, better looking boat. We do have a bigger Simrad, fly-by-wire controls. So first thing I've noticed is a bilge that's actually accessible and gives you room to work on things, add pumps, change pumps, and it is very clean in here too. Not a lot of wiring. I feel like they maybe could have tucked this groundwater wire maybe up and around, clean that up a little bit, get it out of your way. But for the most part, relatively clean. Kind of have some random wires hanging out, but simple, clean, how I like it. Hatches, just like the Aquasport, very thick fiberglass here, very solid. Gas shocks. I don't think any of the hatches on the Aquasport had gas shocks on them. So someone in the comments below, tell me, I see a lot of boats do this. This is kind of a two-piece part here, and the gunnels on the cap. Why do boat manufacturers do that? I mean, on Blue Waters, I've seen it on a couple boats today. This is just screwed on and then cocked around here. Why do they do that? Drop a comment below, educate me, please. First opinion, Sea Pro dash, pretty nice. I like this hatch down here. I like where the battery switch is. Easy to access, but out of the way when you close it. These switches don't look to be the highest quality, but they feel really sturdy, and I bet you those last a very long time. Once again, these same kind of switches here. I bet you they last. They don't look pretty, but fly-by-wire controls, nice stainless wheel. Nice, you got the fold downs, got the footrest. I would be happy with this helm area. First impressions, Sea Pro console and rigging. It's definitely a lot cleaner. You have these hatches that cover all your wiring and this cover up here. Only downside to that is a little bit of limited access. The fiberglass in here could be finished up a little bit nicer. If you're in here working, you might prick yourself on some raw fiberglass. The wiring is a little messy. We do have a lot of wires tucked into these zip ties here. We do have some connections not heat shrinked. There are no heat shrinking on these connections, but definitely a lot cleaner. You know, you have some nice labels for your head, pump out, and overboard hoses, what goes where. Comparative to the AquaSport, I would say this is a big upgrade. All right, so last thing before I leave this console, these hatches are kind of annoying. It took me about 5 minutes to get this one back on. I'm unable to get that one back on. It just seems like it doesn't fit, like they didn't cut the hole the proper size. The price was on this one, I think it was like 120 something thousand with a trailer, and can't even get the hatches on to cover these compartments back up. All right, so final thoughts on this SeaPro 23. Way better than the AquaSport. Definitely a nice boat. It's all going to come down to the person on whether it's worth 120 grand, but 125 grand with a trailer. You know, I feel like if I bought an old Contender or something that's cool that I know rides really nice, and I put 100 grand into it, I could have a boat that's nicer than this. Obviously that's going to take work, and I'm not going to be able to get the boat that day, but to each their own. All right, so last boat, Seafox 26.8 Commander. Sale price out the door, $148,000 with a trailer plus $8,000. So you're looking at, you know, roughly $157,000 for this 26-foot boat here. We got Yamahas on this one, so that's going to be a little bit more expensive than the Suzuki's. And here it says no wood, no rot. First thing I'm seeing jumping on here, lots of plastic hatches, right? Anytime you see plastic hatches like this, it doesn't scream quality. I mean, my Grady White I made in my backyard has these plastic hatches on it, and I can't even get them open, so. I don't know how those work, but my pay grade. My IQ is too low for that one. Oh, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Let's see if this opens up all the way. Oh yeah, that's nice. Plenty of access to the bilge here. That makes working on your boats in the future very convenient. Don't have a lot of rigging going on here. Both these rigging tube areas where wires come through, we got nothing coming through. We do have some pumps, but this is clean. This is what you would expect on a boat over 100 grand. All right, so I know I just hyped up this bilge access, but now I'm seeing that this thing doesn't even close all the way. We got like an inch gap over here. So if you're walking through here, this is just an insane trick. Like, what is that? Closes more over here and over there. And I opened it back up to confirm if I was hitting something, but no, that's just how that boat is. We have another one of these plastic hatches here. Oh, so he's pulling fuel tank. So just got a bunch of water in there just by opening this. That's obviously going to let water in at some point or another. These hatches are not completely watertight, so you are getting water on your aluminum fuel tank. It's clearly not sealed or fiberglassed in. No wood, no rot, but not sealed fuel tank, so rotted fuel tank one day. Probably wouldn't be fun to replace that. Console area, pretty nice. Nice Garmin. Could put another one over here. Got the switches here. You do not get fly-by-wire with this one for 150 grand. You do have a windlass for your anchor. Nicer little Fusion stereo. Decent access up here. Connectors, we got heat shrink on this bus bar here. Not the cleanest, but not the worst I've ever seen. Looks like the wires that are connected, they did heat the butt connectors to shrink them down. So that's good. Looks like a wireless phone charger or something there. Kind of cool. Pretty clean. I would have liked to seen fly-by-wire controls on a $150,000 boat. Nice big cooler up here in the bow with like a lounge seater. I'm sure there's a cushion that goes on top of this. It's pretty nice. On gas shocks, it opened up very easily. Kind of hard to close though. So I did just notice this, you know, gap here, right, where it sinks down. That just screams lack of quality in my opinion. It's gonna hold water like it is. It's gonna get moldy like it is right now. This boat's brand new. You already have a bunch of mold sitting in here because of an area where they cut a corner, and then now this is holding water and is not gonna last. That sealant in there is gonna start to leak down below, probably onto the fuel tank, and just cause the issues down the road because of something that they probably could have fixed in a day or even a couple hours. but they decided not to do it because these production boats, that's how they are. It's get them done, get them out. It's the same thing on this side. I mean, that right there screams lack of quality, lack of fit and finish, in my opinion. So we do have a big, massive live well over here. Kind of cool with a window. 3 latches for this thing, probably to pressurize it. And you do have a tuna door here for pulling fishing, or at the sandbar, easy getting in and out. 26 Sea Fox, relatively nice boat. I think for 150 grand, it's crazy. You know, I think if they did a couple things, maybe it could be worth that. The big things with this boat for me were the fact that this bilge hatch doesn't sit flush and doesn't close. That should never leave the factory like that. So you can see it's almost flush here, and then we're an inch off the deck here. These plastic hatches, don't like them at all. And then things like this corner being lower than the rest of the deck and just holding water and causing mold, and gonna make that sealant fail very quickly. Leak down below your deck is, you know, it's like they were so close to maybe making a decent boat here, and then they just did a couple things that just absolutely ruined it, in my opinion. So looking at this boat from the outside, you would think, man, that's a nice boat. No problem spending a lot of money on that one. But then you get on it and you start to dive in, and you realize that these manufacturers are just cutting corners to try and save money, and it's lowering the quality of their boats by so much that it makes it not worth it. All right, so quick recap of what I just saw at that local boat dealer. First thing I want to say is the guys at the dealership were very nice. I pointed out a couple of the issues to them, and they said they would have no problem with fixing any issues that was found on a boat by any customer. They're obviously good people over there. They want to have their customers be happy and buy a quality boat, but unfortunately it comes down to the manufacturer and the people building these boats, which these are just production boats. They're on an assembly line, they're getting shipped through, and they got to charge a lot of money, I would imagine, just based off price of materials and employees nowadays in 2024. It sucks to see, because you would think when you're spending that type of money that you would get a quality boat that's finished all the way around with really no flaws. But unfortunately, that's just not how it is nowadays. Boats are very expensive, and when you go that production route to save a little money, you're going to have those cut corners, and you're going to have those issues, versus if you went custom with something like a CV or a very high quality center console, you're not going to have any of those issues. One, because you're going to be able to go in while they're building it and check on things, as well as make requests to things to be done a certain way. And those builders are charging a lot more money for their boats, so they know that they are not going to cut any corners, and the boat's going to be perfect, and it's going to last a lifetime. You know, even a production boat for 150 grand, you think that's a lot of money. That's got to be a very nice boat. And generally speaking, it is. I would imagine they are good hulls that are going to last a long time, and they're going to ride well. But then when it just comes down to the fit and finish, where they're trying to get these boats off the assembly lot and out and sold, that's where corners are going to get cut. And unfortunately, that takes away from a quality hull and a quality boat all around. Just these little things at the end that are going to make them not last and not be worth the money. Once again, shout out to the guys at that dealership. They were very nice people. They were very receptive. It sucks, you know, because they are a small business. They're buying these boats and they're selling them, and they have to deal with this lack of quality coming from the factory. And then they also said that they would fix any issues that the buyer has or finds prior to purchasing. And, you know, that's money coming out of their own pocket. I'm sure they're already struggling with the boat sales being down due to the economy. So it sucks for those guys, because they're nice people. They want to sell a high quality boat, but unfortunately, you know, they're not going to be ordering custom boats and selling them on their lot. They're going to have to order a production boat and then sell them at the MSRP. And what they get is what they get. You know, this is the boats that they're getting sent from the factory, and there's nothing they can do about it except take money out of their own pocket to fix the issues that come from the manufacturer. So it sucks to see, but hopefully one day the boating industry will improve with these production boats. And if they are going to charge high prices in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, that they will at least put some effort into the fit and finish and the quality on the boats right before they come off the assembly lines. If you guys liked this style of video, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me why you think these boat manufacturers are cutting these corners and seem like they just have a real lack of pride in their boats that they're building. And you know, if you'd like to see me to go to boat shows and do more reviews on boats like this and try and pick them apart and find where they're cutting corners, you know, like and drop a comment, tell me so. Really appreciate it. And you know, thanks for watching. Until next time, never regret a day in your life. Always trust God's plan.